Thank you and good afternoon, and thank you very much for everyone coming here today for this very, very special ceremony here in Hooksett. To start the afternoon off, I would ask the Hooksett Legion, American Legion, to present the colors, and then please remain standing for the national anthem. Please present the colors. Mrs. Kate Turgeon Bovier will now sing the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
I now ask the Boy Scouts to lead us in the pledge.
May you all please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd now ask Reverend Emily Gohagan, the pastor of Hooksett Congregational Church, to lead us in an invocation. Thank you.
Let us pray. Oh God, we come to you today to dedicate a memorial chair in honor of all our military troops who have served their country and become prisoners of war or are missing in action. These troops have lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, but cut down in their youth, they were denied the joys of a full life of freedom they might otherwise have expected. These veterans gave their lives to keep us free. We have the sure and certain hope that you, Lord, hold them eternally in your grace and your boundless and steadfast love wherever they are, and we save a place for them with the dedication of this chair today. Bless us, O God, and bless the members of our armed forces who stand ever vigilant in the defense of our beloved country. Lord, in your mercy, hear our prayer. Amen.
Thank you very much. Before we start, I have some thanks I need to make. Number one, thank you for this glorious day. Also, I'd like to thank the Congregational Church of Hooksett for allowing us to use their microphones and setting everything up. I'd like to thank Rolling Thunder for initiating this process and bringing this to the attention of the town of Hooksett so that we could join with you in honoring the POW and MIA in presenting this chair to the town of Hooksett. I'd like to thank the Hooksett Town Council for listening to you and agreeing with you and partnering with you. I'd like to thank the police for bringing you into town today safely. I'd like to thank the Hooksett Fire for being here to make sure that we stay here safely. I'd like to thank the Parks and Rec Department for cleaning up the park and making it as beautiful as it is. And I'd like to thank Kathy Northrup and the Heritage Commission for all her work on this. I'd like to thank the Hooksett Veterans Center for allowing us to use their POW-MIA flag. And if I have anything to do with it, there'll be a POW-MIA flag next to the banner next to the flag behind us very soon. I'd like to thank Kate Bovia for the fantastic rendition of the national anthem. I'd also like to thank Skip Hebert, who graciously came here all the way from Manchester to be our piper today. And thank you very much, Skip. It gives a wonderful touch to this wonderful ceremony. And I'd like to thank in advance Hooksett resident, West High student, member of the All-State Band, Samantha Masato, who is going to play taps at the conclusion of this ceremony in a way that you don't usually hear it. So, Samantha, thank you very, very much for donating your time. We have a small group of speakers who'd like to say a few words to you. And first, I'd like to introduce Dr. Dean Shankle, the town administrator for the town of Hooksett. Dr. Shankle.
Hello. I'd just like to welcome you on behalf of myself and the town council to this event. It is vitally important that those who are called to serve and answer that call know that they will never be forgotten. Your presence here today helps demonstrate that, so thank you very much for coming.
Also today, I'd like to introduce Chris Connolly, who's here representing Senator Kelly Ayotte.
Good afternoon. It's my honor to be here on behalf of Senator Ayotte, and she sent a letter along. Dear honored guests, veterans, and friends, I commend the residents of Hooksett and members of the Town Council for their decision to install a POW MIA Chair of Honor in Veterans Park and for organizing this special ceremony. This beautiful granite memorial will serve as a powerful and constant reminder of our service members who have not yet returned home. As many of you may know, the Soldier's Creed includes the words, "I will never leave a fallen comrade." I am determined to see to it that our nation does not waver from this vow. Thank you again for your work on bringing a POW MIA Chair of Honor to Hooksett and for your work on this ceremony. Sincerely, Kelly Ayotte, United States Senator.
Also with us today is Hooksett resident and our state senator, Senator David Booten.
Good afternoon to all of you. Thank you for coming today. The Lord has given us a beautiful day, but it's not just the light that He's shining on us, He's shining a light on our veterans. And that's what we're here to honor today. All of our veterans, men and women who have the courage to put the uniform on and go out and defend us, defend our values, defend our liberties. And, you know, I try to do my small part, and in the legislature right now, just so those of you who have served will know, we're going to be funding a new wing of the Veterans Hospital, which will add 31 beds for veterans who have reached the point in their life where they have dementia, and they will now have their own wing to be serviced. And I think that's a great addition to the services that we can provide to veterans in the state. The other thing I want to say is this, since you're all here today. The one thing, the saddest thing in this country is the care that we give our veterans when they come home. It's awful. It's awful. Please take a moment to call your congressional delegation. That's Senator Kelly Ayotte, Senator Jean Shaheen, Congressman Frank Ginta, and Congressman, forget her name now, over on the other side of the state. But call them and tell them that veterans in New Hampshire, if you live in Manchester, you should be able to go to the Manchester Hospital. Not Vermont, not Boston, Manchester. That's what we need to do for veterans in the state of New Hampshire. Lastly, I want to take a little license, if I may, Don. A very dear friend of mine from Salem, New Hampshire, former state representative, former senator, I served with him, a veteran, and most recently, Rockingham County Sheriff, just passed away on Friday. And I'd ask you to just keep him and his lovely family of 5 kids and his wife Heidi in your thoughts and prayers over the next day. He will be put to rest next week. But he was one of the finest examples of New Hampshire people. He dedicated his life to his country and to his state, and I just ask you to remember him. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator Booton. For those of you that don't know, my name's Don Winterton. I happen to be a town councilor in Hooksett. It's very ironic that I'm here talking with you today, because I'm not a veteran. And there are a couple reasons that I'm not a veteran. If I were a veteran, it would have been from the Vietnam War. Those of you who remember, and those of you that don't should remember, that the people that fought the Vietnam War tended to be of a special demographic of our society. If you were rich, if you were being educated, if you knew the right people, you didn't have to serve. If you were a regular guy on the street that lived in Midtown Hooksett, downtown Manchester, you got drafted and you served. And everyone I know that got drafted served. Very few wanted to go. But we should remember them and remember the lessons of Vietnam. The great lesson of Vietnam is that we now have an all-volunteer service. And thank you very much for those that volunteer. Thank you very much for those of you that didn't volunteer but answered the call. And I say that in a very ironic way standing here today. To my right, to your left, is a memorial for PFC Arthur Morges. Arthur Morges and I went to grammar school together. But as you can see, he was born in 1948, which means back in the day, Arthur stayed back. School was not what Arthur was all about. Arthur went to Central with me, and then Arthur was gone. Arthur was drafted and went into the military and answered his call. Arthur died in 1967. He would have graduated from high school in 1968. He died in service of his country younger than he should have been before he graduated from high school. He's the face of the veteran of Vietnam. Today we often say, thank you very much. And my mother, God bless her, would have taught me to say, you're welcome. I don't know what happened, but now when you say thank you to people, you often hear back, no problem. How do you say thank you to someone who gave their life for their country and expect to hear back, no problem. The correct term is thank you very much and you're welcome. When Arthur came back from Vietnam, and he was my high school classmate, and he was my grammar school classmate, I didn't even know he came back. There was no parade for the dead Arthur Morges. Arthur came back. Those that didn't come back in a box came back to ridicule and embarrassment. That's the second rule we learned from Vietnam. That should never happen again. And that's why we have the honor chair here. So to Arthur, who I never had the chance to, thank you for your service. And for those of you who have not come home, we have a place for you. And thank you. I'd now like to introduce Bob McGuigan, representing Rolling Thunder.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Bob McGuigan. I am a veteran. I'm a member of Rolling Thunder organization and a member of the American Legion. I'm here today as a spokesman for Rolling Thunder, an organization whose main mission is to educate the American people on the issues of POWMIAs. I too want to thank a few people. I want to thank the town of Hooksett, which is my hometown, the Hooksett Town Council, the town administrator, Dean Shankle, especially for my constant questions of, is it done yet? Is it done yet? And Council Don Winterton, who put a lot of effort in this last week putting this all together. While I wish I could name everyone by name who invested their time and energy in this worthy venture, it's impossible for me to know all who have done so. So please accept my and Rolling Thunder's heartfelt thanks for anyone who played a part in the process of bringing this memorial to completion. Rolling Thunder is a volunteer organization that, from our chapter anyway, most people come from the southeast section of the state. It's made up of your friends and neighbors. There are several members from right here in Hooksett. It was those people who went to the Hooksett Town Council in the name of Rolling Thunder and made the proposal for this memorial. Rolling Thunder is in Hooksett, and Hooksett is in Rolling Thunder. Over the years of my involvement in Rolling Thunder, I have often pondered about the way our government proceeds to take care of our servicemen and women during the time of war and after. Before war, they too often seem to sit around in Congress and do things like figure out how much money it's going to cost to send our troops overseas, how much it's going to be to pay them while they're there, how much is it going to cost to bring the weapons that they need, like Humvees without proper armor, and all the other things that go along with weapons of war. But I seem to hear little or nothing about how much money is it going to cost our military personnel who are injured. How much is it going to cost for their care, for their physical and mental injuries suffered during the times of service when they return home? Too often we're left to wonder, where are these veterans going to go for their treatment? How far will they have to travel for that treatment? Are the facilities that they need to go to set up to actually support them as properly? And will they receive treatment in an expeditious manner? For how long do they have to wait for the next appointment? As bad as all that is, at least we, as veterans and concerned Americans, are here to voice our concerns, complain to our governments about the plight of the fellow veterans who have returned. But who is here to speak for the POWMIAs, the missing? We want you to emphatically know that it is us. We are here to speak for the POWMIAs. As I mentioned, Rolling Thunder's mission is to educate the American public about the issues facing our POWMIAs. Sadly, though, there's not enough of us who are shouting out about their plight. There's Americans. There's simply not enough Americans shouting out about their plight. We need more Americans to be the voices of those that are not here to speak for themselves. In short, we need you to join us in speaking up for the POWMIAs. By your actions here today, Hooksett, the town of Hooksett has said we will join our voices with you and speak out about the POW MIAs, and for that, we're grateful. The memorials that we advocate to be set up in various locations around the state are to remind everyone that there are still about 90,000 missing American servicemen and women since the close of World War I. World War II ended in 1945, the Korean War ended in 1953, Vietnam War ended in 1975. How can it be that wars that ended between 40 to 70 years ago, and we still have more than 90,000 missing Americans? This is really outrageous. How many more years will the families of the missing have to wait until they find out what had happened to their loved ones? What will it take for our government to fulfill its commitment to the American service people, that no one be left behind? Now, I know some of you may have heard that there are groups of people out there searching for the POW MIAs in places like Korea and Vietnam. Please be aware that these groups of people are small and few. Most sadly, these teams can only perform their job depending on how the political wind blows as to how they have access to other countries, permissions to go to certain locations, etc. And the funding for these groups, the funding is the first to be cut whenever Congress decides that it wants to cut back or stop spending. It's just not right. Every time that Congress wants to cut back or stop spending, it's always the few, the old, the weak, and the ones that are not here to speak for themselves, that are affected. Who is to object to this tragedy for the POW's MIAs? As they are not here to speak for themselves, so we need you to join us in doing so. I hope and pray that those who see this memorial and other memorials like it will gain the strength to join us in speaking for those who are not here to speak for themselves. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you, Bob. Lastly, just a little bit of a commercial. Roby's store is having an open house. If the bridge were working, we could get there quick. Otherwise, you can go around and stop by Roby's store. It's a very historical place. We're going to conclude now by the playing of Amazing Grace, taps, and then the retirement of the colors. So thank you very much for your attention, and thank you very much for being here. Skip. retire the colors. Thank you very much. God bless America.